you've reached another Midnight Woodsman production starring the Midnight Woodsman and filmed in Woodsman widescreen. Today we are doing the top 24 James Bond pre-title sequences ranked from worst to best. We're just going to do 24 to 13 today. This is going to be a two-parter, and I think it's a good time to be doing this because we've just had the news a couple of days ago that No Time to Die has been delayed for another 6 months, not for the first time, so I think we need a bit of cheer and another Bond rankings. I actually went to the cinema last night to see a horror film, and while I was in there, I saw this massive screen, which was like a poster for No Time to Die, and I thought, oh, come on, take that down, it's just painful, come on. And then I went into the screening and sort of forgot all about it, but of course, as soon as the trailers came on, it's like, what can you do though? So, right, let's get into the ranking. If you don't know what a pre-title sequence is in the context of a James Bond film, it's the bit that's just after the gun barrel, you know, is like, but just before, the bit where the crooner comes on and he's like, he's a man of distinction, you know, with all the actors' names and stuff. So, hopefully you know now. Right, let's find out what came bottom. Now, if you know your James Bond films, you'll know what the answer to this is, because Dr. No did not have a pre-title sequence, so it cannot be anything other than bottom. It's still a very good film. I can't see Dr. No coming bottom in any other type of Bond rankings, unless it's for biggest budgets, I guess, but I'm not ever going to do a video like that. So let's move on. There's nothing to see here. Number 23, we have License to Kill. This is the one with the dangly plane thing. It's not very exciting. Bond's all harnessed up, so there's no danger. He does this weird flappy thing to Leiter where he goes... And then there's also this really cheesy line where Leiter goes, what are you trying to do? Get yourself killed? No. It's just not a very good one. They just seem to not have any inspiration when they wrote this one. Number 22, Live and Let Die. This is Roger Moore's introduction to James Bond. Well, it was eventually, because he doesn't appear in the pre-titles, and that really hurts this one. I mean, it's an okay sequence. We get to see these 3 British agents bumped off around the world. Probably this New Orleans one's the best. You get to see all this funny band that's marching like in a really kind of slow and silly way. But on the whole, it really suffers from not having James Bond in it, I'm afraid. Right, number 21, From Russia with Love. Now, originally, this film was not going to have a pre-title sequence, just the same as Dr. No. And then, I believe, in the editing room, literally days before the film came out, Peter Hunt, the editor, was messing around with the running order of the scenes and decided it would be a good idea to put this before the pre-titles, and thus the James Bond pre-title sequence was born. It obviously can't compete with some of the later action set pieces, but I kind of like it still. It's a nice little, got a nice little horror vibe. And in the picture there, this guy who's doing battle with Red Grant, he misses with that shot by an absolute mile. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. It's not a big challenge for Grant taking down this guy. Right, coming in at number 20, we have You Only Live Twice. This is a 2-part intro. The first bit, here in space with the Spectre spaceship swallowing up the Russian spaceship, is really good. It's got this eerie music and it's all very satisfying. And then we move into this not so good bit with Bond and this Chinese girl in bed, and then the bed flips up, and the whole idea is that they're faking Bond's death somehow. There's these guards who run in and shoot the bed. But I've seen this scene a million times throughout my entire life. I've no idea what's going on in terms of who's in on the thing, who's not in on the thing. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's a complete mess. So for that reason, You Only Live Twice comes quite low down on the list. 19, we have Thunderball. This one starts quite well. There's a lot of really nice looking architecture with the stately homes and things, but once the action starts, there's this fight that looks too sped up in the editing room. It just doesn't feel right. And then Bond runs up to the roof and gets his jetpack out. There's all these bad guys who can't shoot properly. They're all going like this, like a child. They're just not aiming properly. And then Bond flies off with a helmet on. That's not Bond. You know, all right, if there is a helmet there, fine, but have it so that he hasn't quite got time enough to put it on before the bad guys come out. Have to quickly chuck it away and then go, you know. So for a few different reasons, Thunderball ranks quite low. 18, Diamonds Are Forever. You're probably noticing a recurring theme that a lot of the early Bond films are featuring quite early on in this list, and that's just because as time went by, they gradually upped the, you know, the spectacularness of the things. You know, that's not a word, spectacularness, but I do like this one because this guy who you see in the picture, when Bond grabs him by the throat and tries to get Blofeld's whereabouts from him, he goes, Cairo, quite funny. And then there's a sort of nice little fight in a mud factory, which is really weird, but Bond throws this Blofeld double into this lava pool or really hot mud or whatever you call it. So it's not bad. It just doesn't have some of the really great action that a lot of the later ones do. Now, number 17, For Your Eyes Only, this is probably where, on this list, they start to get really good. I mean, this one, you've got Bond paying tribute to Tracy by the grave before this helicopter scene even starts, which is a nice touch. And then you've got this really kind of nervous sequence where Bond's having to climb out of a helicopter and hang on the side because Blofeld's taking control of it with this remote control, and it's pretty decent. And then he ends up dropping him down this chimney stack. And it just goes to show just how good these pre-titles got that this only makes number 17. And there's another good example of this at number 16 because we've got Skyfall, and this is an amazing chase. It's got all sorts of stuff with a motorbike, a train, you know, there's a big fight where they're going under a bridge. And I think the only reason it comes a little bit low is because Bond falls off the bridge. He doesn't win this contest. Moneypenny shoots him off the bridge, which is fine for the story, but you know, it's not much of a cheer moment, so it just kind of drops it a few levels for me, but still really good to watch. Number 15, we've got The Man with the Golden Gun. This one suffers a bit, again, from not having Bond in it. It's the second Bond film in a row where they have this opening that doesn't include James Bond. I think we're meant to be impressed by this in terms of how it portrays Scaramanga as this dangerous assassin, but even that fails a bit because he just hides at the back of his funhouse and waits for the other guy to come to him. It's not particularly impressive. And then when he's sliding down the ramp and as Rodney tries to shoot him, I kind of feel like most people would make that shot. He's such a big target. And, you know, it's not world's greatest assassin sort of stuff, but it still looks great with this whole Thailand beach, and the funhouse is kind of fun to watch. So I'll at least put it up as high as 15. Number 14, we've got Casino Royale. It's not a big action sequence here, but when you go from Die Another Day, which was so disappointing, to this, in terms of, you know, the whole black and white thing, the improved dialogue, Daniel Craig looking really suave, it just felt amazing watching this scene, knowing that you'd entered this incredible new era, and it was just so cool. So for that reason, I put it ahead of Skyfall, even though Skyfall's got all the big action and chases and stuff. This was really, really it was just so satisfying to watch after everything that had come before. And finally today, at number 13, we've got George Lazenby's introduction to Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is how you introduce a James Bond, not the way that Roger Moore was introduced. You've got Bond in the car with his face all in shadows as he gets his cigarettes out. And then he gets to the beach and has a fight with these two guys. It's almost ruined because the fights are sped up a little bit too much. But unlike the ones in Thunderball, I think these ones are still interesting enough with all the guys getting thrown into fishnets and, you know, they holding each other's head under the water. It's just about exciting enough. It's got enough wrinkles to it to still keep it, you know, really kind of edge of your seat kind of stuff. And then you've got the Bond girl escaping, and that doesn't usually happen. Not to this fella anyway. So, yeah, okay, that's it for today. We'll get into the top 12 next time. This is going to be a two-parter, as I've said earlier. And believe me, the top 12 has got some really spectacular stuff in it. So until next time, cheerio.